hello, people. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Arsenal's transfer business is picking up some steam, so to speak. Picking up some steam. Let's just put it that way. Arsenal are about to sign Ian Meslier on a free and everything. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about Arsenal looking at a new right back. There are talks about Ben White leaving. There are talks about Arsenal signing a right back who used to play for Manchester United, who played for Crystal Palace, now plays for West Ham, and that is obviously Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And in other news, could there be something finally starting to fall in place in terms of Morgan Rogers? That is the big question we will try to discuss, try to make some sense of it today, because there are some links that Aston Villa are looking at a left winger. As we all know, Rogers tends to play there on left wing. We will see how that goes. And obviously, Morgan Rogers for Arsenal is the number one target. So we're going to talk about all that. So people, smash the like, subscribe if you're new. We're going to talk about everything that's surrounding that. And hope everyone's doing great, by the way. Hope everyone's doing great. It is Tuesday. Quite nice. Just watched an insane game of World Cup. Egypt versus Argentina in about 57 minutes. Switzerland play against Colombia. So we're going to end the stream by then so we can watch that as well. So we'll see. We'll see. Bless up, everyone. Bless up. And bless up, Max. Bless up, Marlon. Sack Berta right now. Don't give anyone feels it's smoke today. Relax in the chat. Seriously, I'm like, relax. Genuinely relax. Let's just put it that way. Bless up, Matt. Bless up, Bosh. Arteta is a very good defensive coach. He makes players into defensive beasts. I reckon Bissaka will be a beast backup. To be honest, Wan-Bissaka in general defensively is a beast, no matter how you look at it. Anton Wan-Bissaka one-on-one defensively is a massive beast, so we'll see how that goes. Definitely, we'll see how that goes. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, we'll see. We're absolutely going to see. We're going to talk about that in a second. Exactly. Most people, they need to relax. Genuinely need to relax. Because transfer window hasn't been open even for a month. Fully expect Arsenal to do transfer business after the World Cup, unless the player they want from a specific nation has already been eliminated from the World Cup, like hypothetically speaking, Bruno Guimaraes, let's be real, Brazil and all that stuff. Let's just put it that way. So we'll see how that's gonna go. Bless up, Camden. Bless up. Great to catch you live. Big up. This time the disruption due to the World Cup matches. Yeah, it is a bit of a rough one. Not gonna lie. The games usually happen around the time I tend to go live. Luckily today the game is before I go live and straight after I finish the stream. So that's gonna be fantastic. That's gonna be freaking fantastic. Meslier can be turned into a beast too. I trust Arteta defensively. Well, Meslier is a goalkeeper, so that's a bit different. Let's just put it that way. Meslier is not the strongest on his feet, which is a bit of a worry. I'm not gonna lie. Looking him as well at Leeds, it was a bit of a struggle, quite a bit of a struggle. He can be on top of his game for 1-2 games, and then for the next 2-3 games, he literally can be without no hands. So we'll see how that's gonna go. Then again, let's just put it that way. He is not the main goalkeeper. So as well, we should not be as pissed off. Personally, for me, I didn't want Meslier to be signed, given a chance for the youngster. I would have loved to basically that to happen, but it is what it is. And according to the latest news regarding Ian Meslier, right, he's set to join Arsenal on a free transfer. So that is good. Arsenal usually don't sign players on free. And signing a backup goalkeeper for free, it's actually not that bad of a deal. As it stands, Kepa Arrizabalaga will remain as a backup to David Raya. That is according to Sky Sports. Talking about this, that Kepa might be staying and Meslier will be the third choice keeper. There is something interesting when you follow those news because Meslier and his representatives were at Arsenal Training Center at Hertfordshire to undergo his medicals on today. So basically today they were at the medical center, allegedly. The biggest thing about that is the fact that there are lots of talks about this, and I fully expect this to happen, that this signing will allow Setford to go out on loan. specifically. Let's just put it that way, because this is the biggest talking point around this. As things stand, Illan Meslier will arrive at Arsenal as the third choice keeper. So number one will be David Raya. Second one will be Kepa if he stays, because Kepa obviously has the 5 million clauses in his contract that if there is a team that wants him number one, right? If Kepa will become number one, the 5 million somebody pays, he can go, right? And Meslier will be the third choice, right? But this will allow Tommy Setford, who is 20, in the academy, who has played for Arsenal's main team as well, few games, but not too many, right, to leave on loan. Where? That obviously remains to be seen, but that also is a very, very good thing, because let's be real, he's not going to become Arsenal's number one instantly. Sitting on the bench behind Raya also does him no good. Playing in under 21s all the time as well, as high as it seems, he also needs experience with the big boys. So putting him out on loan to a team like in Championship or something like that would be quite fantastic. And the biggest thing is, if Kepa leaves this summer, then Meslier could be promoted into the number 2 role. And that is the biggest thing. If Kepa leaves, there will be no other option to put in as a number 2. Because if Setford leaves on loan, which I am fully for, I'm fully for it, I fully support that motion, there will be no number 2, and Meslier can instantly slot into it. And Meslier is not going to play too many games, anyways. If you look at it that way, how many games did Raya play last year? Like, you can count them on two hands fingers. Let's just put it that way. So Meslier's signing is not that detrimental to Arsenal, no matter how you look at it. The biggest advantage regarding that is the fact that Arsenal are going to sign him on a free. So that is the big one. That obviously is the big one if we are looking at it from that perspective. Signing players on a free is something Arsenal pretty much have never done. They do it very occasionally, and that as well, not even the best ones. And just like as well with Meslier, it's not the best one. And let's be real, the number 2 goalkeeper or number 3 goalkeeper in this instance, as things would stand right now, it does not have to be the best of the best. He just needs to be there just in case. Because if we sign Meslier, right? If you look at, for example, Man City, number 1 was Ederson, number 2 was Ortega, number 3 was Scott Carson, right? And it's pretty much the same level. Scott Carson as well played almost nothing for Man City, yet won everything, right? So if you're looking from that perspective, that's very good business for Arsenal, right? I know it sounds very Norgard-esque to say he's Premier League proven and all this stuff, but he didn't have the greatest time at Leeds. Saying that, Leeds were not the best defensively as well, right? Leeds conceded a lot of shots. Leeds conceded a lot of goals and everything, and so it's not that big of a deal. People, again, they moan because of the sake of moaning regarding this one. Because as I will admit, personally, I much rather that Setford is the number 3 guy, number 2 guy, and if Kepa leaves, the thing is, that doesn't do any good to Setford in his age, in his career, because he's not going to play for Arsenal almost whatsoever. Let's just say it as it is. And signing Meslier, especially if Kepa stays, it's brilliant for Arsenal. It is absolutely brilliant. People just blow things out of proportion and everything. Let's just put it that way. I'm not bored about Arsenal transfer rumors. We'll just wait till the season starts and see who puts on the kit and who's on the pitch. I fully understand it. Fully understand it. Let's just put it that way. Fully understand it. Bless up, type of protagonist. Bless up, bless up, bless up, bless up, bless up, bless up. Let's just say bless up. Messi is the GOAT. Fact. Absolute facts. Argentina almost did nothing for the first 80 minutes. They had their chances. Goalkeeper was making some great saves here or there. Messi missed a penalty. But in the last 10-15 minutes, Argentina came to life. Obviously, the fact that they disallowed Egypt's second goal, then Zico scores again. They were on that emotional high. They set up more defensively. Maybe that played a part into everything. But at the end of the day, they still had to score 3 goals. And Messi was a massive contributor to that, and it was fantastic to watch. It was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane game to watch. And I'm not gonna lie, this World Cup, as skeptical as I was before the World Cup, it was looking quite brilliant. It's quite brilliant right now in the elimination stages. Argentina played against Cape Verde and everything. It was insane game. Croatia's game was insane and everything. There are lots of crazy games happening right now, and I hope that Switzerland versus Colombia will be one as well, because Colombia is absolutely insane at the moment in the tournament. They have picked up very nice form. They are, technically speaking, some dark horses as well. And can you imagine in the quarterfinals of the World Cup, Argentina versus Colombia? That will be absolutely nuts, to say the least. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, Arsenal are going to sign a third choice keeper. People just complain for the sake of complaining about this. It is what it is. Anyways, let's move on to more important matters at hand, which is the right back situation. We all know that Timber has been subject to subdued injuries. He has been injured quite a bit in recent times, which is not great. He's now recovering as well. Then we have Ben White, who has been in the hospital more than on the pitch. He cannot string 3-4 games for the full 90 together. Obviously, it's due to the lack of rotation before, when he played with necessity of a surgery, and you could put a blame on that on medical staff or Mikel Arteta and so on, so on, so on. However, Arsenal are trying to fix that. That is the positive. Arsenal are trying to fix that. And here it is. According to Mail Sport, Ben White continues to attract interest despite his injury setbacks. Several clubs are monitoring the Arsenal defender's situation, but concerns remain over his medial ligament injury, and that is the biggest issue. Quite a few Arsenal players that they could offload, they have injury issues. We had that with Zinchenko, we have that with Jesus, we have that with Ben White right now as well. Injuries or wages, one or the other, if not both, are the biggest stumbling blocks, no matter how you look at it. And Arsenal will have to put a miracle and have to pull a Mazza in terms of Andrea Berta to actually get them off the books. And White obviously wants to continue playing Champions League football if he leaves Arsenal. Obviously, that decreases the pool of the clubs that could sign him quite a bit. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, there are some teams like Sunderland that could take him potentially, right? There are teams like Aston Villa who could take him potentially. There are teams in Premier League, outside Premier League, who could take him for Champions League football. I don't think Ben White wants to leave England, so most likely it's a club in England. I would expect that also to be a club in Premier League for sure, obviously. So time only will tell. But with this being said, Arsenal are looking at options of replacing him. So we're going to talk about that. Bless up, Gary. Bless up, bless up, bless up, bless up. Don't waste the trip, people. Go subscribe, go show some love. Top guy, top content, top podcast, and everything, people. Go show him some love. Now, when we talk about this, there are quite a few things. There were quite a few players on the list. According to Team Talk, which is, again, not the most reliable one, but here it is. Arsenal are considering 10 different potential players to sign at right back, with Aaron Wan-Bissaka being one of them. So the options are Wan-Bissaka, obviously. Then there's Raul Asensio from Real Madrid, which I am against personally. Oscar Mingueza, Celta Vigo. Apparently he could be available for free. I would be very interested in that. He's actually a very, very good, decent player. Gertrudia, 50-50 on him, another Dutch guy, of course. Then we come to a player that I'm quite curious about, which is Tino Livramento. Obviously, the injuries regarding him, the injury history is not the greatest. Then saying that he can play left back, he can play right back, which would be very, very interesting, right? Wesley from Roma, Reed from Feyenoord. And of course, one of the ones Arsenal have been linked quite a bit, Ivan Fresneda from Sporting. Again, dealing with Sporting, not sure Arsenal want to get into that one. Let's just say it like that. And Jules Koundé of Barcelona, who Arsenal also have been linked before. But the biggest one that gets talked about, again, apparently, is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Ex-Crystal Palace, ex-Man United, and currently, obviously, at West Ham. And Arsenal have added him to the list, to their potential list of replacements for Ben White, should obviously Ben White would go and leave Arsenal this summer. Now, obviously, the clubs that could get Ben White if he wants Champions League football, it's quite limited. Let's just say it as it is, because City are not going to take him. Chelsea, no mind. City are not going to take him. United are not going to take him. Liverpool are not going to take him. Seems like that, but we'll see how things develop. But Aaron Wan-Bissaka is one of those players I actually would not mind having at Arsenal. Aaron Wan-Bissaka as a backup option for the right back is actually a very, very good player. One-on-one defensively, he is very good. Offensively, obviously, you could wish for more, but given how Arsenal play and times on defensively, how good he could be, right? It actually would be quite fantastic, right? Let me know what you think in the chat, right? Let me know what you think in the chat, because this could be a very big one. And one of the things that I should add to this, right? It's according to Man United sources, so we'll see how this is going to go. But according to The Athletic, West Ham won £25 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka this summer, 2 seasons on from signing him for £15 million from Manchester United. Now, I'm not going to lie. £25 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka as a backup right back is actually a very good business if we actually go for him, in terms of if let's just say Ben White moves on to a different club and everything, and we need a replacement. Premier League proven, very good defensively 1v1, which is for Arsenal, that is a very key. We obviously defend as a team, which would make Wan-Bissaka even stronger defensively. Obviously, going offensively, it would be a bit of an issue, but overall, I think that would be very, very, very good. Bless up, Godfrey, bless up. Wan-Bissaka flopped at Man United because Man United tried to use him as a forward, as a wing back more than anything. They tried to push him forward. And offensively, Wan-Bissaka is lacking. There is no argument about that. However, if Arteta is not going to change his play style, he wants to be a defensive-minded still, and they want to be, if they want to be defensive still as a right back option, that actually would be a very, very solid and good option, in my opinion. And for £25 million, if that is true, it's a steal, in my opinion, especially since he's only 28, which means we can get 3-4 good years out of him still. And I think that would just solidify Arsenal's defense quite heavily. That would also allow Mosquera to be a backup for Saliba for center back option. That would give also a more regular rotation for Saliba. And Mosquera should not have to slot into the right back spot and everything, and all in this scenario, which definitely would give Arsenal some flexibility in specific games if once Arsenal and Arteta decide to rotate more heavily against specific opponents. I strongly believe that Wan-Bissaka would be good business. Wan-Bissaka would be a steal as a backup option, very solid, wouldn't be out of place if called upon. Exactly. My thoughts 100% exactly. And as I said, offensively, yes, he is lacking. There is no argument about that. The passing sometimes, the crossing is lacking. Goals, obviously. However, defensively, he's very solid. Very, very, very solid. Let's just put it as it is. 1v1. Fantastic, physically strong, decent pace on him. So positioning also is not the worst. So overall speaking, Wan-Bissaka to Arsenal would be quite phenomenal move. For that price, that would be a steal. Absolute steal. Fully agree with you, Godfrey. Like, that is one of those things that people tend to overlook. People tend to basically look at it and think that we are too good to sign players like that. But let's be real, it's one of those spots where Arsenal, Timber is gonna be number one. No matter how you look at it, he's gonna be number one right back until basically we decide to sub him off or we want to give him a rest. Timber is expected to play most of the games as well. There's no argument about that. So having a solid backup, I think Wan-Bissaka would be good. Obviously, if Arsenal are interested in, for example, Mingueza from Celta Vigo, I would not be against that as well. Mingueza, in my opinion, is very, very solid. And I think he could do a very good job as well. So time only will tell. Let's be real. Time only will tell over time. Who will Arsenal sign, how Arsenal will look at it, and how everything would look. And to be honest, Wan-Bissaka last year for West Ham was not the worst as well. He had 3 assists in 25 games. He played 2,000 minutes. And I'm not going to lie. Wait, let me check this before I talk out of my rear end regarding this. Look at this. This is regarding Wan-Bissaka. This is actually looking very hopeful and very promising. Like, he does not get injured almost at all. He was ill for 3 games last season. He didn't get injured the season before at all. The last time he was injured was 23-24 season when he was still at Man United, by the way. And that's about it. And also a big reason why he flopped at Man United, as people said, and as Hendon said, in my opinion, was because United played attacking football and they tried to use Wan-Bissaka as an attacking outlet to a degree. And he's not equipped for that too much. He's decent, but he's not that good to be one of those, let's just say, cornerstones to overlap and do all this stuff. And the way Arsenal play football, we don't overlap as much sometimes from the wing-back positions, from the right-back and left-back as well, unless it's Calafiori, obviously, or and sometimes Timber, right? So his, let's just say, shortcomings would not be as exposed in this Arsenal's team. Let's just put it that way. And defensively, he is as solid as they come. Let's just put it that way. So for me, I'm all for it. If Arsenal actually go for him, if Arsenal actually sign him, I'm all for it. I would not be annoyed at all. Just like Illan Meslier. Yes, at first I was against the idea. I was on this idea that if Kepa goes, we promote Setford. He's the second keeper, and we don't need Meslier. However, if Kepa stays, we sign now Meslier for free. If Setford goes on loan to get experience, game time, and everything to a championship team or something like that, again, it feels very good and very logically thought out. Because if Kepa leaves towards the end part of the window, we know Meslier is number 2. Kepa did not play much last year. Let's just put it that way. Let me check. How much did Kepa Arrizabalaga play for Arsenal? How many games did he play last season? Where is it? Last season for Arsenal. How many games did he play for Arsenal? All seasons, 25-26. Kepa Arrizabalaga last year for Arsenal played, what the hell is this? 12 games. Kepa Arrizabalaga played 12 games for Arsenal last season. So overall speaking, I'm not going to lie. Meslier for 12 games would not be the worst case scenario as well. Because for Setford to play only 12 games, for example, that's not enough at his age and at his time. So overall as well, that situation for me feels very, very good. Very good. Yes, it's like the 50th goalkeeper that Arteta has signed and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you need to have this stuff. You need to have the third choice keepers, second choice keepers, and everything. And again, as a secondary option, I would not say Kepa is Meslier is the worst option as well. Because he did not play much. Wan-Bissaka had a good engine as well, just like Timber. I'm for this one. Exactly, same. Big up, Raymond. Big up. Have you seen the sign for Newcastle right now? He's doing his medical Newcastle right now. Let me check. So Sean Sturr. Now let's see what it is. Newcastle verbally agree a deal to sign Sean Sturr, a fee over 25 million euros, 18-year-old midfielder from Magpies. Now that could, from Ajax, that could be a potential future replacement if he develops properly for Sandro Tonali. Now the question is, does that signing, like, let me pull it up. Does this signing, if anyone watches Eredivisie quite a bit, wish Vigilante was here. I'm not gonna lie. Does this signing Bless up, Raymond, by the way. Bless up, bro. Does this signing is a replacement for Tonali or a potential replacement for Bruno Guimaraes in the future? That, for me, is the next big question. Because if this is a replacement for Tonali, it's understandable. However, with Tonali being sold, Guimaraes being like 50-50, like a gray area at the moment where nobody knows what's going to happen, if they are preparing to replace both of them, this is also a good signing, but they maybe are stronging themselves and preparing themselves that potentially Bruno Guimaraes also could leave. So the question is this a for Tonali? Or are also Newcastle preparing for Bruno Guimaraes to leave? That, for me, is the next question. Obviously, until the window closes, we will never find out at the end of the day. Let's just say it as it is. But I think this could be a very good signing for Newcastle if it works out. Because 18 years old from Ajax, obviously, could be good, could be bad. You genuinely never know. Unproven in Premier League, too young. Obviously, time will tell only. So we'll see. We absolutely are going to see. Bless up, Kwaja. Bless up. Smash the likes and subscribe. Listen to Kwaja, people. Bless up. Your thought on Wan-Bissaka? Yeah, Kwaja. Your thought on Wan-Bissaka situation that Arsenal are kind of added them to the list in potential signing for if Ben White leaves, and only £25 million as well. Apparently, West Ham won for him. It feels like only, I'm not going to lie. Big up, Kwaja. Big up. So far, it's not been the worst. Not been the worst. Let's just put it that way. But now we have to talk about, well, the elephant in the room, so to speak. We all know that Arsenal are in the hunt for a new left winger. We just sold, well, I assume we're gonna sell, let's just put it that way, Leandro Trossard to Besiktas, right? 20 million euros, 17.5 million pounds, and blah, 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 and all this stuff, right? But now we only have Martinelli. And Arsenal obviously are poised to sign a left winger, which has been very widely and very emphatically talked about by the Athletic, by the Fabrizio Romano, and everyone else. So Arsenal's top target still remains Morgan Rogers, and I'm not surprised. Let's just put it that way. Though they're closely considering PSG's Bradley Barcola as another attacking option. Now, if you put me in the choice, let's just say 130 for Rogers, 140, 130, the same price or a tiny bit more for Barcola, I'm still taking Rogers. Just saying. Neither is straightforward, with Villa and PSG both holding out for over 100 million. Like, that is understandable that they want the money. No formal offers for Rogers yet. Now, where this gets interesting is this. Now, don't know how reliable this is, so take this with a pinch of salt. However, Ibrahim Mbaye wants to leave PSG this summer. Aston Villa are very interested in the PSG winger, while Tottenham are also monitoring the situation. Mbaye could become a sale option for PSG as Barcola continues to attract major attention. That is the case. Now, Ibrahim Mbaye, right? Ibrahim Mbaye from PSG, right? 18 years old, super young and everything. The thing is, he plays right wing and he also plays left wing. Question is he one of the options, right? One of the options for Aston Villa and Unai Emery, how they are preparing to replace Morgan Rogers? That is the next big question. We just talked about Newcastle signing Sean Stower from Ajax, right? Now we look at Mbaye, very big prospect, super young as well. Under Emery, could work quite brilliantly because that is something of the levels of Martinelli. Super young and everything, with much higher ceiling than Martinelli potentially, with better skilling than Martinelli and everything, right? A bit worse finishing, I'm not gonna lie. Now, is this already a slow, methodical, and steady preparation for the inevitable situation that Morgan Rogers could be leaving? That for me is the next question, especially looking at PSG, where they are about to sign Diomande. They have Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Doué. Yes, they have sold Lee Kang-in. They sold him to Atletico Madrid and everything, but they have too many wingers and they need to let some of them go. Barkel is attracting interest and everything, but Mbaye as well does not want to resign. So is Aston Villa slowly but steadily preparing for potential inevitability that Morgan Rogers is going to leave? If that is the case, hey, a domino effect could fall in place that, for example, he leaves, and that means Morgan Rogers comes to Arsenal. There is a possibility of that. Obviously, it could be shared instantly that Mbaye leaves to Villa and Arsenal still sign Barcola, right? That is also a possibility. Let's not forget about that. So obviously, there are lots of questions that need to be answered. Transfer window slowly but steadily is heating up. As World Cup is coming to an end, more and more links, more and more discussions are about to come out. So the sooner it's gonna end, the more exciting the transfer window is gonna get. I'm not gonna lie. Big up Matt once again. Wan-Bissaka will win us the quadruple. I don't understand why people are so against Wan-Bissaka. They are against Meslier. They are against Wan-Bissaka. They want Berta sacked, which makes no sense whatsoever. People need to relax. I'm not gonna lie. We did the same last year. We were slow year before and everything. We are never quick in the market. Like, people need to learn and people need to be patient. That is the biggest thing. Honestly, off topic, how good is Morocco, man? Man, they keep going this way, they will win the cup. Morocco is very good, very good. They slowly but steadily have become. They have slowly but steadily become one of the biggest, if not the biggest, nation in Africa in terms of football, and one of the biggest like grand teams in world. Very quickly, like it's not like it's out of nowhere as well. Obviously, some stuff helps, let's just put it that way, but they are looking very, very strongly. Also confirmed by Fabrizio for the 1 millionth time. Yeah, Fabrizio only confirms the same stuff like 56 times with just paraphrase and everything. I just put it that way. France will knock out Morocco. It's going to be a very, very tight game. It's going to be super exciting to look at as well. Mbaye and Mayulu, top prospects. Yeah. 100%. I think that 130 million price tag will be negotiated down for sure. I expect that as well. I would not be surprised if Arsenal sign Rodgers, it's gonna be something like 100 million or 105 million, something similar we paid for Declan Rice, maybe a bit more with some add-ons. Would not be surprised at all. Absolutely would not be surprised. Let's just put it that way. Morocco can go toe-to-toe with it. To be honest, yeah, they have done it as well. Yeah, exactly. My thoughts exactly. Wan-Bissaka would be a class backup. Exactly. Melier's biggest issue is inconsistency. First things first, because he can be godlike for 2 games and then be literally worse than Almunia for the next 2 games, right? Which sounds nuts, but it is true. And he is not too comfortable with the ball at his feet. That is one of the biggest drawbacks I have, but we'll see how that's going to work. Big up, Adam. Is this official? What specifically? Because Arsenal are signing Meslier. Yeah. Arsenal are signing Meslier. He already today was at Arsenal's training ground to complete the medicals. And it's already been confirmed also by Sky Sports that former Leeds goalkeeper Illan Meslier is set to join Arsenal on a free, by the way, no money paid, just the wages and maybe some extra on top for the bonuses, and is expected to go in as the 3rd choice keeper. Meslier is coming to Arsenal as the 3rd choice keeper, and that is in this scenario if Kepa stays at Arsenal. Obviously, Kepa Arrizabalaga has release clauses in his contract that are worth £5 million that if he finds a good, lucrative offer from any team in the world, pretty much, where he is becoming the main goalkeeper, which is basically what Kepa wants, he can go. If he goes, Meslier becomes number 2. And no matter what the circumstances are at the end of the window, right? Kepa being second, if he stays, and Meslier being third means that Tommy Setford can go out on loan. That at least is the plan for Arsenal right now. Meslier signs for a free, Kepa is the second, Raya is the number one, and Setford goes out on loan. From all the articles and everything I have read today, that apparently is the plan, that at least in my opinion, when I gathered the information together. Now, if Kepa leaves, Meslier is going to be promoted to number two, and Setford is still going to get loaned out, from what I can gather. Now, if you look at last year's stats, specifically, right? Kepa played only 12 games for Arsenal. Only 12, which is not a lot. Let's just put it that way. And Meslier for 12 games, slotting into the team as well, it's not the worst case scenario. Literally not the worst case scenario. And I think it's actually going to be very good and very decent, no matter how you look at it. It's going to be very good and he's going to be very good and very decent, because for those 12 games, our defense is going to hold out as well. Our defense is going to do the job. And you obviously can rely on our defense as well. So I fully expect this to be a very good thing. I hope they'll win the cup. Maybe. How far with my man Bissaka? Big up, Olupad. Big up. With Bissaka at the moment, it is a bit tricky, because Wan-Bissaka currently at Arsenal has been only added as one of the options to sign for right back if Ben White leaves this summer. The thing about Ben White is he wants to... oh, my bad. I'm very, very sorry. I misclicked. He wants the Champions League football if he leaves. And that could be a bit of an issue regarding Arsenal, because not that many teams can get Ben White for Champions League, because City doesn't need him, Liverpool don't need him, and teams like that. And according to Mail Sport, Wan-Bissaka has been offered to Arsenal and hasn't been ruled out, though. He remains just one of several options presented to the club. Meanwhile, Ben White continues to attract interest from several clubs. Obviously, the concern for all the clubs, by the looks of things, is the fact that he has the MCL injury and everything. But there are talks that apparently West Ham want £25 million for Wan-Bissaka. £25 million, which overall for me seems like a steal and a half. I'm not gonna lie. Back up to Timber, defensively solid and everything. I think it makes a lot of sense. If Celebrity is fit, I think maybe. Meslier, yeah, free transfer, typical Arsenal. To be honest, we don't do too many free transfers. Overall, if you look at it, how many free transfers we don't do them too much, no matter how you look at it. And I like the fact that third choice keeper is very good. Yeah, exactly. Third choice keeper is very, very, very good. Very good. Goalkeepers hardly get injured. Don't think Raya has missed a game since he joined. Don't jinx this, man. Absolutely don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Yeah, Raya does not get injured. Goalkeepers, well, to be honest, you say goalkeepers don't get injured, but obviously there are exceptions to the rule, like, for example, Thibaut Courtois, right? Like, there are always exceptions to the rule that can go very, very unlucky. And looking even at, to be honest, Kepa's injury record, right? It's absolutely quite nuts if you think about it. This is Kepa's injury record. He missed one game last year for Arsenal with a muscle injury. Then he missed a game 4 years prior for 17 games with a knee injury. Besides that, Kepa has not been injured at all. Let's just put it that way. So it's not the worst. Not the worst in that regard. And Meslier as a third is not, it's not that. We are happy to bring in more fillers instead of killers. We're gonna do both. We have to do both, and we're gonna do both. It's just a matter of who we do first and what we do first. Like, it's gonna be step by step. When we maintain the title, come back to me. Okay, I'm not talking about the quad, but they definitely would be solid additions. Meslier as the second choice is, yeah. I have seen him play in Championship. for Leeds, in Premier League as well for Leeds. As a second choice, yeah, if David Raya gets injured, Meslier for extended period of time, that will be a pain and a half, especially if Kepa leaves, right? At the same time, Kepa does not get injured, as Godfrey said, pretty much at all. Keepers don't get injured as much as well, and everything. Obviously, right now, talking that Kepa does not, Raya does not get injured, right? It might cause some juju things to happen. Let's just put it that way. I'm holding my hands up, knock on wood, salt over the shoulder, and all this stuff, like and all this stuff. You all know how that deal goes. But Meslier as the third choice is okay. As the second choice, I will be a bit concerned every time Raya goes down and doesn't get up instantly. I'm not gonna lie. But so far, he's been quite durable. Let's just put it that way. Bissaka is an excellent back. I think so too. I hope we sign Rodgers, Rashford, Bissaka, and Meslier. We're winning. No quad. Relax, Matteo, right? Relax, right? First things first. Rodgers, yeah. To be honest, Rashford depends. For me, with Rashford, I would not mind taking Rashford at Arsenal. I would not mind. Serious question. Are these Champions League winning signings? Meslier and Wan-Bissaka? Straight up, no. They are not the starting caliber players, so they are. But as a squad, yes. Overall, as a squad, yes, I believe so. Especially Wan-Bissaka for rotation and everything. The thing is, we gonna sign the main guys. We just are doing it backwards again, which is a bit annoying. Because Arsenal tend to do this when we sign the fillers or rotational players first, and then we sign the main guys. Arsenal have a tendency to do that. We have done it before in the windows. Let's be real. I'm going to be honest. But the thing is, do they solidify us defensively more? For example, Wan-Bissaka, because I'm not concerned as much about Meslier because Raya is the number one, especially if Kepa stays and Meslier is the third choice keeper. Not worried about anything whatsoever. Let's just say it as it is. But Wan-Bissaka as a backup, rotation, sub, start a few games, fantastic, in my opinion. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka defensively already is solid. In Arsenal, how they defend, he would be very useful for that. Summer needs to be brought in if Kepa leaves. I think so. That could be the case. That could be the case. I'm not gonna lie. I think if Kepa leaves, don't put it past Arsenal. Don't put it past Arsenal if Kepa leaves that we're gonna go in the market for number 2. That promotion for Meslier for number 2 spot, I'm not too sure it's gonna happen. I fully expect Arsenal then go for number 2, which is then gonna seem like a waste of money because we will definitely overpay then. We sold Trossard for only 18 and add-ons. Now contemplating. We're not contemplating anything. I wanted to change my name now and yeah, but that was long time ago. And overall as well, different times, different circumstances, different situations. Don't talk injuries with Arsenal player. You will create the mojo. Stop it. No, please. To be honest, like, we talked about this as well. We talked about Saliba, Gabriel, and all these guys, Rice injuries and everything, and look at them now, to be honest. Get me Suzuki, that Japanese goalkeeper. I think Leeds want to sign Suzuki as their main guy for the Premier League as well. I think they're going for him. Suzuki. The thing with Suzuki is he is a starting caliber player for mid-table or a bit higher level teams. And for him, in his current situation, especially being only 23 years old and everything, for him, he must start. He must play. And coming to Arsenal, as great on paper as it would look, overall for his career, in my opinion, that would not be the best case scenario for him. Meslier can't be second choice for a team like Arsenal. Yeah, if he's third choice, I'm good. If Meslier is is the third choice. I'm okay with that if Kepa stays. As much as Kepa let us down in the Carabao Cup final, right? Still, we move on. We live, forget, forgive, and move on. Meslier as the number 2, especially if something happens to Raya, it will be panic stations. Massive panic stations, to say the least. I'm not going to lie. Especially given that he's not that good with the ball at his feet. But I would not put it past Arsenal again. I would not put it past Arsenal that if Kepa leaves, we're going to go and sign proper number 2. Would not put it past them as well, which means more money spent and all this stuff. I don't want to see any. There won't be Willian-type players. There won't be Willian-type players because for me, personally, Wan-Bissaka doesn't strike me as one if we sign him. If we sign Meslier, it also doesn't strike me as one, especially since he's not going to play as much anyways. Let the apologies be as loud as disrespect. Yeah, but not the quad. I really like Bissaka. Yeah, same. If we sign Wan-Bissaka, I actually would be quite happy with that as a secondary option. But again, Wan-Bissaka to Arsenal is gonna happen, could happen, not gonna happen, could happen only if Ben White leaves. We need starters. Yes, I understand that. I already said that. We gonna sign starters, most likely like Arsenal usually do. We're gonna get some rotational pieces, and then we're gonna get some starters. My expectations from this window is to get a starting left winger, starting caliber midfielder, and then we can go from there to see what is what. Because Arsenal are not gonna do other things. I like in that big of a strong fashion, at least. The medical team already said that Timber Rice and Saliba should not play until after the first international break. Yeah, they said a lot of things. It didn't happen. Tuchel said in March that Rice is injured, managing on injections. Saka is injured. Still called them up to the friendlies. Still called them up to the World Cup. Declan Rice said like a few days ago before the Mexico game, I'm in massive pain, but I still play wherever they need me. And he's managing that back injury, which is now giving extra impact and extra damage to his hamstring and the legs on injections. He's managing that with injections. Saka as well. He has not recovered almost whatsoever. Saliba as well. Saliba feels like he's been playing with an injury since the Liverpool warm-up. Remember in the beginning of the season when Saliba got injured in the warm-up against Liverpool, played 2 minutes and then Mosquera came on. Feels like Saliba has been playing injured since then. And right now he's still injured. There are talks that he may need even a surgical procedure to help basically fix everything. Like it's in many ways it's not looking too great. Barcola, Rogers, Guimaraes, and Bissaka. You just described about 350 million worth of signings. Technically, we should have the money. Realistically speaking, we are not going to sign Rogers and Barcola. We're going to sign one of them. At least that's how I see it. And my hope is that we're going to sign Morgan Rogers, personally. That's just my personal preference. Let's just put it that way. Guimaraes for the midfield. Oh my goodness gracious, I would be so happy with that, to say the least. Like, I would be over the moon. Having the midfield, let's just say, quartet of Skelly, Skelly, Rice, and Guimaraes, then add Zubimendi to the mix, and they can rotate. They all can play in the 6. They all can play in the 8. Phenomenal, in my opinion. Fantastic. Merino, that is the big question. What's going to happen with Merino? What's going to happen with Norgard? Because there were talks that Norgard might be leaving. He's still here, so he might not leave. Maybe later in the window. What's going to happen with Merino? Because when Arsenal started to get links to Bruno Guimaraes, another number 8s and 6s and everything, David Ornstein came out in an article and talks and saying that Arsenal want to sign, Arteta wants to rotate 4 midfielders, right? One of them was Skelly, other one was Zubimendi, third one was Rice, and the fourth one was a signing that we're going to make this summer. There was no mention of Mikel Merino. So my expectations is that Mikel Merino most likely will be a bit further rotational piece for midfield and for the forward position. Maybe something there. I'm just going to put it that way. Rogers, yes, because I'm not gonna lie, Barcola quality and Martinelli, like each of them have their advantages over the other, and each of them have their disadvantages over the other. Like there is no in between. Like there is no upside to having either of both of them. Let's just put it that way. Marino should be the backup striker. We'll see. We'll see. Sell Havertz, that's not going to happen. I at least don't expect it to happen. Havertz is one of Arteta's favorites. He can play in multiple positions. When he plays, he's one of the centerpieces of the team, by the way. And I don't see it happening. Absolutely don't see it happening. Jesus will open for Marino. For me, the question is, where will Jesus, what's going to happen with Jesus? Because there have been links, there have been talks on the media, on everywhere, right? And right now, nothing. And the biggest concern whenever they talk about Jesus is either injuries or the 265,000 grand a week wages, one or the other. Big up JT, bless up. Meslier is crazy choice, but as long as he doesn't play cup finals, I don't care. At the moment, the thing about Meslier is he is at Arsenal. He's going to sign for Arsenal as the third choice keeper. Number 1 is going to be Raya. Number 2 is going to be Kepa. And number 3 is going to be Meslier, which ultimately will allow Setford to go out on loan. It all sounds fantastic, I'm not going to lie. Raya, then Kepa, then Meslier is the third, and Setford goes out on loan. Sounds fantastic. The thing is, with the Kepa's release clauses of 5 million, it can be triggered at any time during this transfer window, right? And if he leaves, there are talks that Meslier will be promoted to number 2. Mind you, Kepa played only 12 games last year for Arsenal, so it might not be that big of an option. The issue is, if Raya gets injured, Meslier is going to become our number 1. Then it becomes an issue. Let's just put it that way. But Kepa is going to be sold, no? Apparently, Arsenal are not actively selling him. Kepa has 5 million release clauses in his contract, which can be triggered by any club. But again, only thing is, Kepa wants to move to a club where he will be a guaranteed number 1, a guaranteed star, the main man in goal. And if a team cannot basically guarantee him that, he's not going to go there. Summer is a better free signing. Yeah, as a backup, yeah, I would fully agree with that. But I don't know. I just don't see it happening again. Maybe Arsenal, well, as the third choice keeper, Summer is never going to work. Worst case scenario, he's going to be the secondary option. Now, if Kepa leaves, then we can sign Summer as the second. But Summer also most likely would demand 5-6 times bigger salary than Meslier as well. So we'll see. Depends what happens to Kepa, because in all of this, Kepa is the one that can basically make it all work or screw it all up. Let's just put it that way. What I've seen is it's presented by the media that Meslier is likely replacement for Kepa. Now, here it is. This is what they're saying in the media, right? Would be nice if it loaded. Former Leeds goalkeeper Illan Meslier is set to join Arsenal on a free transfer, and the Frenchman is expected to go in as the third choice keeper, right? Third choice keeper, not the second choice, but the third choice keeper. The thing about Kepa is, though, this is the biggest worry. This is the worry where it becomes an issue. As things stand, Meslier will arrive as the third choice keeper. But if Kepa does depart, which is a big if at the moment, let's be real, still obviously 2.5 months to a month and a half to go in the transfer window. But still, it's a massive if at the moment. Meslier could be promoted into the number 2 role, which is a could, not will. So there is a possibility that if Kepa leaves, Arsenal could go back in the market and sign a number 2. There is a possibility of that happening as well. So it's not being excluded. Hence why the journalists are using could, not will, because that allows them to give that wiggle room if he gets promoted or if he doesn't get promoted. It's all at the moment based on if, what, buts, and maybes, no matter how you look at it. Feels like when we missed out on Tielemans for free, like that was pain. I'm not gonna lie, that was painful. That was painful. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, fair. Then seeing this one from a lot of trustworthy journalists, the Meslier signing is often paired with information about Kepa release clauses, so the implication is a bit weird. Yeah, in that regard, definitely. But with Kepa is gonna leave most likely if somebody pays. If somebody pays the 5 million release clauses and the contract and the role that the other club is offering is satisfying Kepa, basically. Because there have been pretty much no talks. Well, not pretty much. There have been absolutely no talks, at least from what I have read so far in this window, that Arsenal would be openly and actively exploring an option to sell Kepa. There have been none of that. Most of the talk about Kepa leaving is only if somebody pays the 5 million release clauses, if Kepa is satisfied with the offered role at the new club, if he becomes the number 1 goalkeeper. It's all based on that. There have been pretty much no talks about Arsenal openly trying to sell Kepa, at least for now. Still, again, a bit more than a month and a half to go in the window, so things could change, but time only will tell. Good to know. That makes me a bit more sense if they would go in the market again. That would be my expectations. Because having Meslier as a number 2, if David Raya gets injured and it's for an extended period of time, we are screwed. I'm not gonna lie, we are screwed. I'm all fine with Meslier on a free as the 3rd choice keeper. Meslier being the 2nd choice keeper as the main 2nd choice keeper, I'm not fine with that. I'm gonna be honest with you. By the way, Kai Havertz exit, I can see him going as well soon. Where and who is gonna sign him? That is the biggest question, because there have been almost no talks about him getting sold. Absolutely no talks. Some weird yellow page stories, but besides that, there have been literally no talks about Kai Havertz getting sold. I haven't seen at least nothing. I'm just going to be honest with you. Have seen nothing. Let's just put it that way. With how we handled the contracts recently with the important players, we never allowed them to hit 2 years left on the contract. No contract talk of Havertz or Odegaard. Yeah, true. That is true. Yeah. And for me, the thing is, obviously, there were some random rumors about Odegaard potentially getting sold. We talked about it. We covered it. Obviously, it has been dismissed by now. The thing is, Odegaard is on 240. We will have to give him almost 300 if we want him to stay, which I'm not gonna lie, he's not worth that. First things first. Second of all, could there be something, and this is a massive conspiracy theory from my end, could there be something to it that Arsenal and Arteta basically are looking to see how Odegaard does in the World Cup? Once the World Cup ends, bang, he's up for sale. Pretty much try to cash in on his good form and good performances. Let's just put it that way. That's another question. Yeah, who is signing Havertz? He's going nowhere. Like that is the biggest question. Unless you get him at like a flea market cut price deal, like nothing's happening. I fully expect that. I mean, for us who don't rate Havertz, it seems crazy, but many people and coaches actually rate him a lot. To be honest, that's the thing. Havertz is not a bad player. It just strictly depends how you use him. And within this Arsenal system and team, he has his strengths, he has his uses, but while he has his uses, we also kind of put out on a silver platter to exploit his weaknesses, as in attacking end, in the attack, in finishing, and all this stuff, which is just on silver platter for everyone. Havertz's best role was the role he played at Bayer Leverkusen when he just burst onto the scene, free roam number 10 and all this stuff, right? He has never played that ever since, and he has been kind of boxed into specific roles, which obviously has not helped him, but he has made the best out of a bad situation. Obviously, going to Chelsea also has ruined him. He had about 50 coaches in 2 days, and it also did not help in that regard. The money we bought him for, that is a massive question mark. What the hell we did there, and the wages we put him on also, why the hell did we do that? Because if Havertz was 35, 40 million, he was on about 150 a week, nobody would say nothing. It's the fact that he was 65 million, he's on 285 grand a week, which basically puts expectations for him up there. And unfortunately, he falls short of those quite a few times. Let's just put it, for lack of a better word. Give me 100 for both Havertz and Odegaard. I'm happy. I just want to move. The thing is, Odegaard alone is more or less worth about 60 million. So 40 for Havertz. Given his wages, actually could be the case. And for the money they're just too injury prone. To be honest, the thing is, with the injuries, in recent times, Havertz and Odegaard have been hell injury prone, which is one of the biggest issues in terms of everything. Because we have seen how injuries ruin certain players, even at our team, at other clubs, and they never recover, or even when they recover, they're not the same. And Odegaard as well, when he came back from injury, he started to do things he did not usually do to a degree, like ducking out of challenges, faking a tackle, and everything like that was not great. That didn't help us, obviously. Like Odegaard as well, he has his uses. He is actually quite decent at times for Arsenal. He was the reason why we scored against West Ham, let's be real. He basically set up the goal for us to score. As an impact sub, he actually has been quite good. And when the game is getting too fast-paced, right, for Arsenal's liking, and the other team is starting to build up momentum, putting on Odegaard is actually quite good because he slows the game down. Whether it's intentionally or not, that's a bit different story, right? But he does it, and it helps for Arsenal because we play slow and methodical. Other teams would want to sometimes try to pick up the pace and try to get back in the game. Yeah. Odegaard, I don't trust his body to handle being the main. Exactly. For main, definitely not. Havertz, I can see recover, but his body types and the injuries, he had him not willing to take the risk, keeping him. Exactly. That is the biggest drawback for Odegaard and Havertz. Both of them are the wages. Odegaard is on 240 grand a week, and Havertz is on 285 grand a week, which is absolutely, I don't want to say shambles, but it is shambles. Let's just put it that way. So we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, people, on that note, I think I'm going to end today's stream because the last game of the round of 16 is on. Switzerland versus Colombia. I want to go and watch that game. So I'm going to redirect you to True Gunnar. He is doing a watch along for that. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, that's not a bad salary for your top players, but they are. But they definitely don't justify the wages to a degree. Let's just put it that way. Not fully, but to a degree. Anyways, I'm gonna redirect you to True Gunnar. He's doing the watch along. I'm gonna go watch the game on my TV. Relax, chill before tomorrow. So have a nice evening. Smash the like and subscribe if you have not already. See you guys very, very soon. Take care, stay safe, and enjoy the World Cup. Peace.